The truth that hardly anyone knows. What if I told you that a single housewife from Michigan almost destroyed one of the most famous TV series in history, and that this very attack is what actually made the series truly big? Today, we're talking about Married with Children, about scandals, about banned episodes, about a pilot episode that almost nobody has seen, and about details fans are still debating today. This is not just nostalgia. This is the story of a series that was never meant to be loved, and that's exactly why it became a cult classic. Fact 1. The series America didn't want. When Married with Children premiered in 1987, it didn't really fit in anywhere. At the same time, shows like The Cosby Show dominated American television. Harmonious families, moral messages, a life lesson at the end of every episode. And then came the Bundys, a bitter shoe salesman, a family without ambition, no growth, no learning curve, no happy ending. The original working title of the show was no coincidence. Not The Cosbys, that was no joke. It was a declaration of war. Fox deliberately wanted to do everything differently, much more provocative, more disrespectful, and above all, more real. What hardly anyone knew at the time, Fox was a young, insecure network at that point. Married with Children was the network's first primetime sitcom, and that's exactly why Fox took a full risk. Fact 2. The pilot nobody was allowed to see. Before the show became what we know today, there existed a version that is almost forgotten today. The original pilot was filmed with different children. Kelly Bundy was played by Tina Caspery, Bud Bundy by Hunter Carson. Internal test audiences immediately noticed something. It didn't work. The chemistry was off. The jokes didn't land, and the family felt wrong. An unusual decision followed. Fox fired the kids before the series even aired. Christina Applegate and David Faustino took over the roles. In hindsight, that was one of the most important steps for the show's later success, because without this casting, the Bundys as we know them probably wouldn't exist. Fact 3. The woman who wanted to change everything. In 1989, something happened that nobody saw coming. After the episode, Her Cups Runneth Over, a housewife from Michigan started a nationwide campaign against the show. Her name, Terry Rakolta. She called Married with Children obscene, as immoral, and unfit for television. But she didn't stop at complaints. Rakolta deliberately wrote letters to Fox and to the show's advertisers. With success, several sponsors pulled their advertising. Fox reacted nervously and moved the show to a later time slot. It looked like the beginning of the end. But then the opposite happened. Newspapers reported on the case. Talk shows picked up the topic. News programs suddenly discussed this sitcom. Millions of people heard for the first time the name Married with Children. From an alleged scandal came the show's mainstream breakthrough. Ironically, the very attempt to stop the show made it immortal. Fact 4. First Married with Children, then Friends. Before Matt LeBlanc achieved worldwide fame as Joey Tribbiani on Friends, he already had recurring appearances on Married with Children. He portrayed Vinny Verducci, a friend of Kelly Bundy who appeared regularly in various episodes. Vinny first appeared in the late 1980s and quickly developed into a popular supporting character who stood out through his own comedic moments and interactions with the Bundy family. The role helped advance LeBlanc's early acting career and paved the way for later projects, including the spin-off Top of the Heap. Fact 5. Al Bundy was never just a character. Al Bundy's greatest achievement was supposedly 4 touchdowns in a single high school game, a running gag that runs throughout the entire series. What many people don't know, Ed O'Neill actually had a serious football background. He played at Ursuline High School in Ohio. He received scholarships, and in 1974, he was even signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He never made the final roster, never played an NFL game. But it was precisely this missed career that made Al Bundy's constant reminiscing so believable. Fact 6. When hatred is real. The rivalry between Al Bundy and Marcy Darcy was legendary. Insults, humiliations, no reconciliation. What fans often don't know, this tension also existed behind the scenes. Ed O'Neill and Amanda Beers did not get along privately. No open conflict, but distance, cool professionalism. A TV Guide cover made the situation worse. Several main cast members were featured. Amanda Beers was missing. She perceived this as a slight. O'Neill later explained that he had no influence over editorial decisions. The tensions between the two were never truly resolved, and that is exactly what made the scenes between Al and Marcy so intense. Fact 7. Peggy Bundy was a construction. Peggy Bundy's red hair were no coincidence, and not real. Katie Seagal wore for large parts of the series a specially made wig. At first, she styled her own hair, but with growing success, a consistent look was chosen. Peggy was deliberately exaggerated, almost like drag, clothing, posture, hairstyle. Everything was part of a role that clearly was meant to be separated from real life. And that's exactly why Peggy Bundy is still an icon today. Fact 8. The rapper Bud Bundy. In 1992, David Faustino released a rap album. His stage name was Lil D. The album Ballistics was not a success, but it was real. At the same time, Faustino founded a nightclub on the Sunset Strip. These ambitions later flowed directly into the series. Bud Bundy's rap alter ego, Grandmaster B, was not a parody. It was a reflection of his real life. Fact 9. The failed Bundy universe. Fox wanted more. Spin-offs. They wanted to create a shared TV universe. The most well-known attempt, Top of the Heap, featuring a young Matt LeBlanc, but it lasted only 6 episodes. Then came Vinny and Bobby, but that one ran even shorter. A backdoor pilot called Radio Free Trumaine, focused on Bud Bundy, was never developed further. All attempts failed. The reason is simple. Married with Children only worked as a family. Without Al Bundy, the core was missing. Fact 10. The British Experiment. In 1996, British television produced a local adaptation titled Married for Life. The series kept the basic structure of Married with Children, but moved the setting to the UK and adjusted characters and dialogue. The series aired only 7 episodes and was cancelled after its first season. Critics especially criticized the lack of chemistry among the cast, and the loss of the sharp humor that defined the US original. Married for Life is now considered an example of how difficult it was to translate the unique tone of Married with Children internationally. Fact 11. The house number that never made sense. The Bundy house is supposedly located on Jeopardy Lane, sometimes with the number 9764, sometimes 9674. No move, no explanation. A classic continuity error from a time when no one cared. Fact 12. An ending without a farewell. In 1997, the series ended, without a finale, without warning. The final episode was never intended as a conclusion. The actors found out by chance. Ed O'Neill while on vacation. Christina Applegate through friends. Others from newspapers. No farewell, no character development. The Bundys stayed exactly as they always were. And maybe that was exactly the perfect ending. Fact 13. The star in front of the shoe store. In 2011, Ed O'Neill received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The placement directly in front of a shoe store. It doesn't get more ironic than that. Fact 14. Ed O'Neill congratulates fans as Al Bundy. During the active run of Married with Children, Ed O'Neill occasionally responded to fan requests personally, however, in a very special way. He called fans on the phone in the role of Al Bundy to congratulate them on birthdays or holidays. To emphasize Al Bundy's stingy character, these were often return calls made as collect calls. That is, calls charged to the recipient. Fact 15. The Bundys and the wrestling inspiration. The creators of this series drew inspiration from famous professional wrestlers when naming the family. The last name Bundy comes from King Kong Bundy, a famous wrestler of the 1980s who later appeared as a guest star in 2 episodes of the show. This choice was a deliberate stylistic device. The Bundys were meant to be portrayed as fighters of everyday life. Why? This series still resonates today. Married with Children was never meant to be a role model. It wanted to provoke, to offend, to push boundaries. And that is exactly why we still talk about it today. Sometimes, the very thing meant to be forbidden makes history.